Be me, 28F, marketing director at a boring regional company living in Columbus-sized America, always thought of myself as a modern woman. Spent most of my early 20s in feminist group chats, and campus circles, went to marches, shared carousels, and infographics like, it was a second job, picked fights with random dudes online for fun, and principal felt very righteous, very informed, very sure of myself. Fast forward to now, married 3 years, to Jake, 35 million. Structural engineer Jake is not like the guys I dated in college. He's what people call traditional, not in a podcast clip way, not in a women these days tweet way, just in how he moves through life, opens doors without making a show of it, pays for dinner, automatically fixes stuff around the house before I even notice it's broken, quiet, steady. The human version of a load-bearing wall, wants a family, wants a house with a yard, wants the whole clean suburban postcard thing, honestly. After years of dating allies who were broke, chaotic, and emotionally parasitic, Jake felt like fresh air after being stuck in a basement. He made me feel safe. He made me feel like I could finally unclench, like I didn't have to carry every emotional and financial burden by myself. And that's where the problem starts. Because I have a giant neon skeleton in my closet, not a little secret, not a forgot to mention my ex texted me once. Secret more like a meteor-sized secret back in college. From about 18 to 21, I had a side hustle, and by side hustle I mean subscription content. It was peak online, subscription era, felt like every girl I knew was either doing it, thinking about doing it, or pretending not to do it. I sold myself the full empowerment script. I'm taking control of my image. I'm monetizing the male gaze. I'm funding my degree. I'm choosing this. So that makes it different. I genuinely believed all of that at the time. Maybe parts of it were even true. I had a decent following, not famous, not influencer famous, not enough to get recognized at the airport or anything, but enough to cover rent, enough to buy nice shoes and expensive makeup, enough to feel like I had hacked the system. I didn't show my face in every post. I thought I was being smart about it, angles cropping, lighting partial shots. But I showed enough, and there were identifying details. If someone really looked small, fox tattoo along my left ribs, tiny birthmark high on my thigh, stuff I told myself nobody would ever connect. I quit right after graduation. When I landed my first real office job, spent almost 4 months trying to erase myself from the internet, deleted accounts, changed usernames, sent takedown notices, reported reposts, paid one sketchy service that claimed they scrubbed leaks, basically treated it like a full-time panic project. By the end of it, I thought I had pulled it off. Thought I had reset my life. Met Jake about 2 years later. Never told him, not once in my head. It was irrelevant. That was another version of me. Another time, another life. And if I'm being honest, I knew Jake would not see it that way. He's the kind of guy who doesn't even use Instagram. Still has a Facebook because his mom tags him in fishing photos. Thinks TikTok is brain rot. His perfect Saturday is either lake fishing or building shelves in the garage. He talks about discipline like it's a normal household word. He has strong opinions about modesty in women. His word, not mine. I used to hear that word and internally roll my eyes so hard, I almost saw my brain thought it was old school control dressed up as virtue. But then he'd look at me like I was something delicate and valuable, like something to protect. And I loved that feeling more than I wanted to admit. I did not want to smash that image with my own hands. So I built myself a very convenient little lie. Technically not a lie. I told myself, just omission. If he never asks, I never have to answer. He's marrying who I am now, not who I was. At 19, rationalizing is one hell of a drug. We got married in a beautiful ceremony. Outdoor venue, string lights. Everyone crying and pretending they weren't crying. Jake lost it when he saw me walking down the aisle, full tears, hands shaking. I felt this sharp, cold stab of guilt right then, like ice water under the ribs, and I shoved it down so fast, I almost impressed myself. Told myself I earned this happiness, told myself the internet is infinite and I am nobody told myself. No one was ever going to connect old breadcrumbs to me for a while. I was right. Life was good, really good. Jake got promoted. We bought a place outside the city in one of those new developments with identical mailboxes. I started working from home. More often, we started having real conversations about kids instead of vague someday talk. Jake wants 4. He says it like he's ordering a future from a catalog. Talks about raising them with good values every single time. He says good values. I get this little twitch in my stomach, like my body knows. Before my brain does, I also started quietly cleaning up my life. Even more deleted old college friends off Facebook and LinkedIn, especially the ones who knew exactly what I used to do. Drifted away from my old roommate, the one who used to take half the photos for me. Jake noticed, eventually asked why I never talked to her anymore. Said he thought we were close. I told him we just grew apart after school. He accepted it immediately, which somehow made me feel worse. Keeping a curated version of yourself alive is exhausting. It's like running a background app that drains your battery all day. But I loved the life we built. I loved the security. I loved the predictability. I loved being Mrs. Carter. It felt clean. It felt respectable. Which is funny, because 22-year-old me used to rant for hours about respectability. Politics then, about 7 months ago. Things started getting weird at work. We hired a new wave of interns, all Gen Z, all fast-talking, hyper-online, permanently attached to their phones. Kids who can reverse image search, a cloud if you give them 10 seconds. One of them was this guy named Mason Quiet, kid, gamer, posture, energy drink aura. Didn't say much in meetings. I caught him looking at me a few times in the break room, not in a gross way, more like a puzzled way, like he had a song stuck in his head and couldn't place it. I brushed it off. I looked like a generic office brunette, now blazers, neutral lipstick, glasses on, blue light days, hair in a sensible shoulder-length cut. Nothing like the bleached blonde chaos. Goblin I was in college, different clothes, different weight, different face even. Somehow, I thought I was safe behind adulthood. Then one afternoon, Mason asked me about my tattoo. I was wearing a thin blouse under my jacket. Wrong fabric, wrong lighting. You could barely see the outline near my ribs. He goes, "Is that a swallow?" My heart basically stopped and filed for bankruptcy. I laughed like it was nothing, pulled my blazer closed, said, "Yeah, dumb freshman year decision." He nodded, didn't push, but the look in his eyes stayed there. That same night, I went home and panic searched myself. Full paranoid mode. Incognito. Window VPN on different spellings. Old usernames, old email fragments. Everything, mostly dead links, 404 pages, stale reposts with missing files. For a minute I thought I was spiraling over nothing. Then I went deeper. Old archive boards, forum dumps, those gross corners of the internet, where dudes trade content like they're swapping sports cards. And there it was, a thread from 6 years ago. Recently bumped my old alias in the title. Someone asking whatever happened to Night Vixen. Another guy replying, "Pretty sure she went corporate." Another one saying he thought she works in marketing. Now my stomach dropped so hard it felt like the floor moved. No real name yet, no city yet. But the trail was there, little crumbs leading in my direction. I slammed the laptop shut and thought I was going to throw up. Just sat there on the couch, trying to breathe. Normally 10 minutes later, Jake walked in, big smile, holding takeout bags like he was bringing home treasure. "Hey, gorgeous." Long day? I had to force my face into something human. "Just a headache," I said. He kissed my forehead soft and gentle like. Always told me to go. Lie down, said he'd played everything. I stood there and watched him in the kitchen. He looked so solid standing there in our kitchen. That night so calm, so reliable, like the kind of man you build a life around. And then forget to worry. After that I started trying way too hard, making his favorite dinners during the week, wearing the dresses he likes, on weekends, actually leaning in and listening when he talked about concrete mixes and load ratings and why some beam design was stupid, nodding. Like I understood every word, laughing in the right places, being extra affectionate, being extra patient, being extra wife. Like I could stockpile enough good spouse points to cancel out old photos still floating around on some server in Eastern Europe. Like if I was perfect now, the past would retroactively disappear. It doesn't work like that. A few weeks passed, I talked myself down, told myself I was spiraling. Mason, the intern, never brought up the tattoo again. That forum thread stopped moving. No new replies, no new breadcrumbs, just silence. I started to breathe again, started sleeping better, started thinking maybe I had imagined the whole danger. Huge mistake, You do not relax when you're living on top of a buried landmine. Then Jake's younger brother came to stay for a weekend. His name is Trevor, and he is basically Jake's opposite in human form. Jake is steady and offline. Trevor is chronically online and spiritually exhausted. Single sarcastic, always has some cynical take loaded and ready. The kind of guy who knows obscure internet drama before breakfast. He and I were never close, never fought, never bonded, either. Just polite family, holiday polite. Saturday night, we're all in the living room. Jake is watching a game, feet up, locked in. I'm on the couch pretending to read. Trevor is in the recliner, doom scrolling on his phone, TV noise in the background, lamp on normal, quiet suburban night. Then Trevor snorts and laughs at something on his screen, says, "Man, internet never forgets." My whole body went cold, just instant freeze. Jake doesn't even look away from the TV. What now? He says Trevor keeps scrolling, just seeing all these old influencers getting exposed again. People dig up stuff from like 10 years ago and nuke their whole life. It's insane. Jake shakes his head like he's watching bad weather on another continent. If people put garbage out there, they gotta live with it, he says. That's why I stay off all that crap. I didn't look up from my book. Couldn't. If I lifted my head, I thought they'd see it on my face. My hands were shaking so bad, I had to grip the pages to hide it. Trevor says, seriously though, it's wild how many girls got their entire life online for a subscription fee. Imagine finding out you're dating one. Jake laughs casual light, like it isn't a knife to the throat. Not something I ever had to worry about, he says. I married a lady. Then he reaches over without looking and squeezes my knee. His hand felt hot through my jeans, like he branded me. I muttered something about needing the bathroom, walked off as normal as I could, closed the door, and immediately started hyperventilating, sat on the edge of the tub, trying to breathe for what felt like forever. Probably 5 minutes, maybe more. Splashed cold water on my face twice. Then again, looked up at the mirror. All I could see was a liar trying to pass, as a wife. I wanted to tell him I really did not, just in a vague, guilty way. I mean, I actually stood there and mentally rehearsed it. Jake, what a porsten Sie das Ganze band. There's something I should have told you. I was young. I needed money. It was stupid. It's over. That isn't who I am now. I played every version in my head. Soft version, honest version, crying version, clinical version. None of them ended well. Every time I imagined his face, I saw the same thing that looked going dead, that warmth shutting off the respect, disappearing in real time. I pictured him seeing me, not as his wife anymore, just something public, something used up by strangers with screenshots, and I couldn't do it. Or maybe I was too much of a coward, same outcome either way. So I said nothing, kept the secret, kept smiling, fast forward. To last Thursday I was at work. Regular day emails, campaign, revisions, one pointless meeting that could have been a message. Then my phone buzzed text from Jake, which was weird by itself. He almost never texts during the day unless it's about groceries or he'll be late. We usually talk at lunch. I opened it. We need to talk when you get home. No emoji, no love you, no extra words. Just that sentence and a period. That period weighed like a brick. I stared at the screen and felt all the blood leave my face like my body knew. Before my brain admitted it, coworker at the next desk asked if I was okay. Said I looked pale. I mumbled something about feeling sick, grabbed my bag, left early. The drive home is mostly a blur in my memory. I remember red lights. I remember gripping the wheel too hard. I remember bargaining with the universe like an idiot. Maybe it's his mom. Maybe somebody got hurt. Maybe the house flooded. Maybe there's a leak in the roof. Maybe he found a big charge on the credit card and is mad about money. Maybe literally anything else pulled into the driveway. Jake's truck was already there. House looked normal from outside, porch light on, nothing broken, everything quiet that somehow made it worse. I walked in. The whole house had that strange stillness, like right after bad news. Jake was sitting at the kitchen table, not eating, not watching TV, not pacing. Just sitting, hands clasped in front of him, his tablet on the table, face down. He looked up when I came in. His eyes were red, not wet exactly. Not like he'd been crying more, like he hadn't blinked in an hour. Looked exhausted, deep, tired soul, tired. Jake, I said. And it came out like a whisper. He didn't say hi, didn't ask how work was, didn't move much at all. He just slid the tablet across the table toward me, slowly, carefully, like he was pushing a loaded weapon. I walked over, legs, felt weak, hands numb, flipped it over, and there it was. Me at 20, barely dressed cheap, cat ears, holding a little sign with my old alias on it, smiling that fake online smile. Next to it was a side-by-side comparison from my Facebook older profile pic. Same eyes, same birthmark, same rib tattoo, same person under. That was an email, anonymous sender. Subject line was basically, "Thought you should know." I stared at the screen so long, the pixels started blurring, couldn't pull air into my lungs, couldn't make words, just stood there with this roaring in my ears. The silence between us got huge, felt like minutes, felt like a courtroom. Finally, Jake spoke. His voice was flat, not angry, yet worse than angry. "Empty, is this you?" 3 words, simple words. Hearing them almost broke me. I could have lied. I could have said it was fake, said someone used AI, said it was Photoshop, said people make revenge edits all the time. All the stupid modern excuses were right there. But one look at him, and I knew he'd already checked everything. He's an engineer. He doesn't confront on a guess. He verifies, cross-checks, confirms. He would not be sitting there unless he was sure I sat down across from him, because my knees were giving out, barely got the word out. Yes. He closed his eyes, took a long breath in through his nose, let it out slow, jaw tight the whole time. Then he asked, quiet, "When?" "College," I said, "before I met you." "I stopped years ago." And then I started rambling because silence was killing me. "Jake, espaces bestos, destaost." Please just listen. It was money. I was trying to pay bills. It didn't mean anything. It was just pictures. I was young and stupid. I've changed. I'm not that girl anymore. The words were coming out too fast, sounding thin even to me. He opened his eyes and looked at me like he was trying to recognize someone, wearing my face, confused, hurt, disgusted, all mixed together. "You sold yourself to strangers," he said, quiet still, but sharper. "You let thousands of men look at you, at things that were supposed to belong to your husband." And that's when my stupid defense mechanism kicked in. The old talking points, the old armor I heard myself say. It was basically modeling. It was online. I never met anyone. It was my body, my choice. The second it left my mouth, I knew I had stepped on a mine. Jake's face changed, it got hard like a door locking. "Your choice," he repeated. "Yeah. And it was your choice to hide it from me for 3 years. I didn't lie," I said, and even I hated how weak it sounded. "I just didn't tell you." He leaned forward, a little voice rose for the first time. "That is lying. You let me believe you were something you were not. You let me believe I was the only man who ever got to see you like that. You let me stand in front of my family, our friends, and God and make vows to honor you." He swallowed hard, looked at the screen for half a second, then back at me. "Meanwhile, half the internet saw you in cat ears for $7.99. That detail hit harder than everything else because it meant he didn't just see the email. He looked, he clicked, he saw the content. The actual content shame hit me all at once, hot and fast, like my skin was on fire. "Jake, please," I said. I reached across the table for his hand. He jerked back like I was poison. "Don't. Just don't." He pulled away and stood up from the table, walked over to the back window, stared out at the yard, the same backyard he spent all summer tearing up and redoing by hand, fresh edging new mulch, the little stone border he was weirdly proud of. He stood there looking at it like he needed to look at something. He understood. "I feel like I don't even know you," he said, voice low, dead tired. "I feel like I married a character you made up." "I love you," I cried full on, sobbing now, words tripping over each other. "I'm still me. I'm the one who makes your coffee in the morning. I'm the one who laughs at your dumb jokes. I'm your wife." He turned around, looked at me like he was studying a crack in a foundation. "Are you? Or are you just playing wife now because you were done playing cam girl?" That hit like getting punched in the chest. Actual physical pain. I flinched. "That's not fair," I said, crying harder. "I wanted this life. I wanted you." He stared at me for a second, then said, "Did you? Or did you want a safety net? Did you want somebody to pay the mortgage and take out the trash while you acted like none of this ever happened?" I opened my mouth and nothing came out. Because buried underneath the panic was a tiny, ugly piece of truth. I wanted the protection he offered, the stability, the structure, the traditional life. But I had not given him the honesty a man like him would have expected. In return, he walked past me toward the bedroom, didn't brush me, didn't touch me, just moved around me like I was furniture. Then I heard it, suitcase zipper, that sound instant animal, panic, real panic, the kind that starts in your stomach and shoots straight into your throat. I ran to the bedroom doorway. Jake, stop! What are you doing? Where are you going? He was already pulling shirts from the dresser, folding them, packing socks and underwear, calm, organized, methodical, which somehow made it 10 times scarier. I can't be here right now, he said, not even looking at me. We can fix this, I blurted out. Please, we can go to therapy. We'll talk through it. I'll answer anything. He stopped packing for a second, turned and looked at me, eyes red again, face hard. You don't fix trust with therapy, he said. You looked me in the eye every day. Every time I told you how beautiful you were. Every time I told you how much I respected you. You let me say that while you knew the truth. You let me stand there looking like a fool. His jaw tightened. You made me a fool. Lauren, he used my actual name. He almost never uses my actual name with me. It's always Babe Hone, something soft. He went back to packing. I'm staying at Trevor's. Zipper closed. Do not call me. Do not come over. I need to think. Then he picked up the bag and walked out. No dramatic yelling, no door slam, just a firm close of the front door. And then silence. Then the truck starting. Then the sound of it pulling away. I dropped to the hallway floor and screamed. Not a movie scream, not a neat little cry, an ugly guttural sound. I didn't know I could make just pure panic and grief coming out of me all at once. I stayed there for hours, seriously. Hours half on the floor, half against the wall, crying until my head hurt. The sun went down, the house got darker, room by room, and that house felt enormous, empty, cold. It felt like a shell. His house, the one he paid for, the one he repaired, the one he built. Shelves in and fixed faucets in and painted on weekends. It felt like I was trespassing in it. At some point, I checked my phone, nothing from Jake, but I did have an Instagram notification, DM request, blank profile, no picture, no posts. I opened it, saw your husband bounced. Sucks. Internet is forever LOL. I just stared at it for a second, then threw my phone across the room as hard as I could. It hit the wall screen, cracked, didn't care. Next few days were a miserable blur. I called out sick from work, said I had the flu, I couldn't eat. I'd make toast and just stare at it. Couldn't sleep either. I'd lie down exhausted, and the second I closed my eyes, I'd see his face at the table. That look, not even rage disappointment, deep disappointed hurt. And somehow, that was worse than if he had screamed at me. Anger burns hot and burns out. Disappointment just sits there, heavy, permanent. I kept trying to rebuild my defenses in my head, trying to get mad instead of ashamed, trying to make him the villain. He's insecure. He's judgmental. He's misogynistic. He has no right to judge me for my past. I repeated. Every talking point I used to throw around in college, every clean, polished line, every argument that used to make me feel untouchable, and in that dark, quiet house, they sounded fake. Thin like reading slogans off a wall while your life collapses. None of it brought him back. None of it made the bed less empty. None of it made me feel better. That was the part I couldn't outrun. All the empowerment language in the world means nothing when you're alone in a dark house at 2 a.m. Ideas don't hold you. Ideology doesn't keep you warm. A husband does, and mine was gone. Jake finally called on day 4. I grabbed the phone so fast I almost dropped it. His voice was cold, flat, professional, like I was a contractor. He didn't trust. I'm coming by to get some tools and more clothes, he said. Please be out of the house. Jake, please no, I said immediately. I need to see you. I'm not asking, Lauren, he said. Please. Just give me an hour. Then he hung up, just like that. I sat on the couch after that and stared at the front door. I told myself I should leave. I knew I should leave. He asked for space he deserved, at least that I didn't go anywhere. I couldn't. I needed to see him. Needed one more chance to say something that would make this survivable. An hour later, he walked in. Used his key, stepped inside, saw me on the couch. He didn't look surprised, just tired, resigned, like he expected me to ignore him. He looked awful dark circles under his eyes, stubble all over his jaw, skin gray from no sleep. He looked older, like 4 days had aged him 10 years. He shut the door behind him and looked at me. I asked you to leave. I stood up, legs shaky. I'm your wife. I said, we have to fight for this. He laughed once dry and humorless, barely even a laugh. There's nothing to fight for, he said. I can't look at you the same. I've tried. For 4 days I've tried to get my head around it. Every time I think about you, I see those pictures. I see the comments. I see a price tag. He shook his head slowly like he hated even hearing himself say it. I wanted a partner who shared my values. You don't share my values. You just pretended to because it was convenient. I started crying again, quiet this time, just tears. He kept going. I gave you everything I had. Lauren, I worked overtime to buy you that car. I busted my ass on this house so you'd be comfortable in it. I wanted to be your provider. He looked toward the kitchen, then back at me. But a provider protects something precious. You sold what was precious for tuition money and attention. That one cut so deep, I had to grab the back of the couch, tears running down my face. I was young, I whispered, same pathetic line, again the only one I had left. He didn't even raise his voice. We were all young once, he said. I was young too. I spent my 20s working, building my career, saving money, trying to become a man a good woman could respect. I didn't take shortcuts, and I didn't lie about who I was. Then he turned and walked to the garage. I followed him because I couldn't not follow him, just trailed behind like a ghost. Watched him pull out tool cases, drills, saws, levels, extension cords, all the stuff he used to fix the house and build things for us. All the stuff that made our life feel solid. He loaded everything into the truck bed, one piece at a time, careful, efficient, not a single wasted motion. I stood there crying in the driveway while he packed up pieces of our life. Then he shut the truck door, turned back toward me. One last time, I'm filing for divorce, he said. Everything went weirdly quiet, like the air got sucked out of the driveway, like the world paused and forgot to restart. No, I gasped. Jake, please. I'll do anything. I'll delete everything. I'll get off social media completely. We can move. We can start over somewhere else. He looked at me through the open truck door, face exhausted. You can't delete memory, he said, and I can't be the man you need me to be. Then with this ugly, razor-sharp sarcasm, I'm not enlightened enough. Apparently. I'm just a traditional guy. I can't be with a woman who gave herself to the public. He got in, started the truck, rolled the window down one more time. You can stay in the house for now, he said. I'll cover the mortgage until the settlement is done. I'm not leaving you stranded. That's who I am. Small pause. Even if you're not who you said you were. Then he drove off, and this time I knew it. He was not coming back. That was almost 4 months ago. The divorce is moving forward now. Amicable, if you're talking legal paperwork. Cold word for what it feels like. He's being generous, more generous than I deserve. I'm still in the house surrounded by things he built. With his hands, pantry shelves, deck boards in the yard. Little fixes everywhere I never noticed until he was gone. It feels like living inside a museum of a future that died. I went back to work. Everybody does that fake gentle voice around me now, like I'm made of cracked glass. Mason won't look me in the eye anymore. The intern, the tattoo kid. I think people know, maybe not details, but enough. Jake's whole family blocked me, all of them, including his mom, sweetest woman alive, used to call me her daughter. That one hurt worse than I expected. Losing him was one thing, losing the whole family behind him felt like getting cut out of a tribe. I tried going back to my old crowd, figured maybe I'd get support. There went to brunch with a few friends, told them what happened, expected sympathy, expected rage on my behalf, expected the usual speeches, and they delivered exactly that. He's trash. You dodged a bullet. Men are so fragile. He couldn't handle a confident woman. All the lines, all the right politically polished lines. I sat there listening, looking around the table, women pushing 30 and past it, single, angry, bitter, in that tired way. Scrolling dating apps between bites, complaining. There are no decent men left, and all I could think was, I actually had one of the last good men I've ever known, and I lost him. Because I thought I could outrun consequences, because I thought I could curate reality, and nobody would ever check the source files. I looked at my friend Nina. She's 33, Poli, currently fighting with partner number 3 this month, telling me I'm better off without Jake, telling me I should feel free, and I felt sick because I knew she was wrong. I went home, after that empty house, Glass of wine sat in the living room, doom scrolling, saw a photo of Jake on a mutual friend's page. He looked thinner, sad, yeah, but he was out on a boat with his dad holding a rod windbreaker on. Still looked composed, still looked like himself, dignified, even hurt. I caught my own reflection in the black window beside the screen marketing professional, independent woman. I have the degree, I have the job, I have my autonomy, and I'd trade every bit of it in 1 second just to have him come through that front door, just to have him look at me with respect one more time. But that's the thing. Once respect breaks, it doesn't go back together. Easy. A few weeks later, the lawyers were finishing up the settlement terms. Jake let me keep most of the furniture. He only wanted his tools and his grandma's china set. I was in the kitchen wrapping that china in bubble wrap, crying over a stupid gravy boat. Doorbell rings. Courier at the door. Envelope from Jake, not from his attorney. His handwriting on it. My heart jumped so hard it hurt immediate stupid hope. Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe this is the opening. Maybe there's still a chance. I tore it open standing there. Short note inside. Lauren, found this in the garage. I don't want it. You should probably burn it. I hope you find whatever you're looking for. But you won't find it by staring backward. Jake. Inside the envelope was a USB drive, and the second I saw it, I knew exactly what it was. Backup from my old laptop, the one I thought disappeared years ago. The one with everything on it, raw shoots, unedited folders, the stuff, even the repost forums never had. All of it, he had it, he must have found it. When he reorganized the garage last year, he cleaned and labeled everything in there, probably tossed it into a box and forgot. Or maybe he didn't forget. Maybe he checked it recently after the email. Or maybe he found it earlier and never said anything. Maybe he was waiting for me to trust him enough to tell him myself. Waiting to see if I would be honest on my own, and I failed. I plugged it in, sat there staring at the file, names folders with names like tuition, rent, bags, cute little labels like it was some business project. Clicked one open, there was my younger face smiling for the camera, eyes dead, holding a sign posing like I had everything figured out. I looked so proud in those pictures, so smug, so sure I was beating the system, and sitting there years later, I realized I wasn't the one moving pieces. I was the piece I took, the USB to the fireplace, lit a fire, stood there for a second, with it in my hand, then tossed it in. Watched the plastic warp, watched it melt and blacken. Little bubbles popping on the chips, nasty smoke curling up, smelled like burnt trash. And chemicals felt about right. Phone buzzed while I was watching it. Burned text from my mom. Heard about the divorce. What happened? Jake was such a good man. I just stared at the blinking cursor. How do you explain this to your 60-year-old Catholic mother? Typed, I made a mistake. Deleted it. Typed, we grew apart. Deleted that too. Thought about typing the truth that he found out. I used to sell myself online, and my lie finally collapsed. That his values and my deception hit each other, head on, couldn't do it. Typed, nothing, put my phone on, do not disturb. Turned on the TV. Some dating reality show was on, people lying to each other for attention. And followers used to think that stuff was funny. Now it looked like a documentary about a civilization rotting in real time, about 3 months after the divorce was final. I moved into a dark little apartment. Downtown, couldn't keep up the house. Alone, sold it. Split the equity. Jake told his lawyer to let me keep more than my half. Help her restart, was the message I got. Back even leaving me, he was still providing. I hated him for that. Then hated myself even more for hating him. Tried dating again, downloaded the apps. Absolute wasteland guys. Holding fish in every third photo. Automatic left swipe, because it reminded me of Jake. Guys with Feminist in the bio. Left swipe on those too, don't trust them anymore, matched with a guy. Eventually Ethan, 31, finance, nice suit in his pics. Clean apartment takes me to some expensive restaurant. Good wine, good manners, smooth conversation. Successful, funny enough to be dangerous. Asks about my past, I give him the polished version, the curated one, the office-safe version of my life. He smiles. You seem cool, he says, not like the other girls around here. I like a woman with experience. Should have felt flattering. Used to, maybe would have, instead, I just felt sick. Then under the table he puts his hand on my thigh too high, too fast. Like he already bought, Access leans in and lowers his voice. So, I did a little digging before tonight. My blood went ice cold. He grins. Found some fun archives? Winks at me. Honestly, impressive. Always wanted to take one of you girls out. Then he used this gross word for what I used to be. I slapped his hand off me, stood up so fast my chair scraped. "Excuse me," I said, grabbed my purse and walked out. Heard him laughing behind me as I left. "Relax, I was complimenting you," he called after me. Got in an Uber, shaking driver, looked in the mirror and asked if I was okay. I said nothing, just stared out the window at the city lights and finally understood. This is just my life. Now the filter is gone, the cover is gone. Jake was the shield, and I don't have anywhere left to hide.